Hi there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to Football Talks. We are now at week 6, and I can't say neither of us are really all too pleased. Uh,
Pleased is not a word I would use
I,
this week.
I'm glad that it was. I still don't mind the Cowboys. Not like I'm gonna hate them forever. We both saw it. We saw the win coming for them, but I've got choice. We both got choice words for our teams, but if it wasn't for the Patriots wrecking the Bengals, which I saw it coming, Bill, you didn't, and I know like it was pretty much 96% of the world thought that the Bengals were going to shit on the Patriots, but I know that the Patriots, when they're put up against the wall, it's when they do their best. But we're
Oh
not
man.
talking about the Patriots as much. That was a good game for me to watch.
Oh
but
my god, that was enjoyable.
yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna have to put the joy aside for now because we're gonna open up with the Texas Showdown, Dallas
Oh.
and Houston. That game, even though I didn't like how it turned out, it technically was still a good game. And funny enough, the day before I was watching a guy like it was like spoiler alert for the NFL website. The guy predicted a 2017 win in overtime for the Cowboys, and he called it.
Oh
Somebody actually
damn.
got it right. But that game was all defense. Nothing really happened in the first half. Just lots of mishaps and punts.
And punts
It was.
and more mishaps.
I mean, the Texans still didn't allow them to score in the first quarter, which they've been keeping up that trend. So,
Correct.
yeah, but then they got 3 points in, and that was the half. But after that, it exploded with Arian Foster getting the touchdowns. He was the only one that scored for the Texans, by the way. And fun fact, people are praising DeMarco Murray for so like, hey, look, he's still the best rusher in the league. Well, I won't say that Arian Foster has dethroned him. No, I don't think that happened at all. But in this game, Arian Foster outplayed him. DeMarco Murray had about more than 130 yards. Arian Foster got 156, and two of those were touchdowns. And he looked like he could have gotten the win for in overtime, but Houston did not do what I wanted them to do. Run the football. Foster looked really good out there. I did not notice any hamstring injuries at all. Did you, Bill? You notice any
It
hamstring problems?
it didn't look like he had a hamstring issue, but I mean he the last couple of years he's been dealing with a gimpy hamstring, so I mean it's with him it he dealt with it the entirety of the year last year, and then it just led to that back injury he sustained.
Mm-hmm.
So
I wouldn't say that he's out though, because I mean a healthy Arian Foster is something fierce, but I think he's still playing good enough to be kept in the game as long as nothing worse happens. I knock on wood as I say that, so it doesn't actually happen. But I digress. Seeing Arian Foster play so well, because I actually thought the Dallas defense was going to keep him contained. No, the Dallas defense really loosened up on the second half. Fitzpatrick was getting some good passes in. Like I said, Foster was making some good runs. But
right.
I just don't understand. At first, I went into this thinking this ain't gonna happen. I know they're not gonna win. I'm just only optimistic because it's the start of the game. But then seeing Arian Foster get in that first touchdown, I was like, we can win this. And then came
To
the what?
no, to be fair, the Dallas defense kind of tired out.
Yeah. I mean, they both defenses did because I mean, the first half was really defensive. They were really doing more of the work than the offenses.
Correct.
And um, I'll get to the Fitzpatrick talking about that first half with no offense whatsoever. It 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 felt like the Vikings team playing each other.
Oh,
But
that's pretty nasty.
yeah, but you're the one that says they have no offense, so I got that joke in.
Yeah, they have zero offense. I mean, they have backups at most of their starting positions on offense.
But we'll get to the Vikings game for next week later.
Later.
So, seeing that Arian Foster was doing so well, it led everything into overtime. My problem was on 3rd and 2. Why did the offensive coordinator tell Fitzpatrick to make a short pass?
Ay, ay, ay.
I would have understood if you had no rushing like Manning, but Manning can clearly get that, and probably more with Demaryius Thomas.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and Manning set a record for over 500. He's going to pass Brett Favre probably by the next 2 games.
You're looking at the best quarterback that ever lived.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, but going back to this game, why did, in their right mind, when Foster, in that overtime, the first 2 times those 2 big runs, going over 10 yards and one went over 20, how come you couldn't get him to get past 2 yards? That for Murray or Foster, that is a joke. They usually get at least 5 yards.
It is a big joke. I won't disagree with you on that.
That was probably the stupidest thing, and that's what gave it away. And I don't understand that. Foster was hurt with himself. Seeing him in that post-game conference, he felt bad because he knew that they could have won if they let him run the football. Deep inside, he must have known that they could have ran the football, but he didn't want to sound all mad. He didn't want to let his emotions control him more than they already were.
To be fair, the Texans are a product of the current day NFL, where most teams think, oh, 3rd and 2, let's convert this with a pass play. Not 3rd and 2, everything in our playbook's open to us, including fake and reverses. They could have ran a reverse in that situation. They could have done anything in that situation. But they went the safe route, and they did one of those little stupid... Wasn't it like a little bubble screen?
Yeah, like I said, it was a really short pass, and Foster missed the ball. Like, he's not the type to go and jump and catch the ball like Megatron. I mean, probably like Andre Johnson or Hopkins, yeah. But for Foster, you just let him run that ball, and he would have gotten past that defensive line in no time.
Arian Foster, he would have got that. I have all faith in that he would have gotten that totally completed. That game would have been won had they run the football.
Exactly, and nobody's really talking about that much. What if Foster ran the ball? I can tell you, I can guarantee you that he would have got that first down. And I don't mean barely. He would have got about 4 yards.
I mean, it's all hindsight being 20/20 nowadays, but I mean, in that situation, Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't having one of the greatest games.
Yeah, but
so
Romo didn't either.
Yeah, no, but Ryan Fitzpatrick, comparatively, was not having an amazing day. The player that was having the amazing day was Arian Foster. You give the player that's been carrying your team the entire day the football in the last minutes to close the game out.
He tied it up. He was the only one that got the touchdowns, mind you. That goes to show. I mean, even we were saying J.J. Watt had more than touchdowns than Andre and Arian combined. And now look at Foster. It's like he listened to those people and decided to catch up to J.J. Watt entirely. Now for Andre Johnson, he got a lot of yards too. I mean, he still hasn't got a touchdown, which I'm hoping the Colts game it happens, but I won't know until it actually happens. But I'm not going to try and sound like a Fitzpatrick apologist, because I can assure you he's still not the greatest quarterback out there, not at all. He's a lot better than, say, the guy that replaced Carson Palmer, or what?
Well, Drew Stanton is not actually a bad quarterback. He he bounces around from team to team. He just never can stay in one system.
Same with
I
Fitzpatrick.
I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's he's a decent quarterback. He was never going to light the league up and be. The weirdest part about Fitzpatrick is that he also signed a $100 million quarterbacking deal with Buffalo about 3 or 4 years ago.
And now here he
Was their
is.
was their starting quarterback got cut? Remember, this is $100 million quarterback that got cut by his team.
I'm expecting Manziel to get that someday. At
To
this
me,
rate.
I feel that he'll get cut, but that's a discussion for a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But my overall thoughts on the Dallas Houston game is that if the Houston Texans really wanted to put the nail in the coffin, it was that they needed to run and they needed to run and they needed to run and jam it down Dallas's throat. Just keep running. No need to put the football in your weakest offensive player's hands, and that's the quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick. All the weapons around Fitzpatrick are amazing. DeAndre Hopkins, Andre Johnson, Garrett Graham, Arian Foster. The weakest player on offense is their quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick. And you entrusted the game in winning the game and not giving Dallas a chance in Ryan Fitzpatrick's hands. Which is unacceptable.
The
It
scarier.
should have.
Let's look at it from the other way. The fact that Dallas was actually threatened to lose and faced heavy scrutinization because if you would have lost to this guy, this quarterback in particular, I mean, you could have lost to Peyton Manning or Drew Brees, and people would have said, oh, we saw that coming. But if you lose to this guy, heavy scrutiny to the Dallas team, Jerry Jones under fire yet again. It feels like Week 17 and they lost a game that they needed to win and go to the playoffs. It would have felt like that. But no, the win cures all, like you said, and many other people say. But like I said, I'm not trying to sound like a Fitzpatrick apologist, but Romo didn't do any better either. They both threw picks. With Houston's problem, they've gotten many turnovers off of Dallas. Dallas got more turnovers. Logically, whoever screws up the most tends to lose. Why did they still win? Because Houston did not find ways to convert. Most of these turnovers were at the first half, if I remember. I don't recall any turnovers like fumbles lost in the second half. Because, I mean, I will praise that Texans red zone defense because it's not just been one-time things. They've made Murray fumble the ball, though that was expected, to be honest. But they made the Giants mess up and in their red zone. They've made the Bills do that too. Of course, we all can't forget J.J. Watt's pick six. But you see, they're good at the red zone, but I mean, the only times that the Cowboys really scored was away from the end zone. Romo went for those long passes, which he shouldn't have let him caught, or whoever caught it, because I know Williams caught one.
To be fair, Houston had the one catch perfectly defended, and it was just a ridiculous circus catch to get that.
Jadez?
I think it was Terrence Williams on the sideline. It was a ridiculous circus catch.
I don't remember that one, but I think I know. Maybe. I don't know. But the fact is, that was a dirty win for the Cowboys. People were all high and mighty because, yes, this was the Texas Showdown. If this was any other team, any normal team, people would have said, that was a terrible win. Why'd you guys barely come out of it so ugly?
I'll put it this way. The bigger issue in this Texas Showdown is what happened in the stands. Look at what happened in the actual Texas Stadium in Dallas. there were. It looked like there were more Texans fans in
There
that
were.
stadium
It was sold
than
out because of Texans fans.
exactly. Where are the Dallas Cowboy fans?
Nowhere.
Why are you allowing a Houston Texans invasion of your own stadium?
I mean, you let them come, but I mean, Drew Brees' team isn't all that far either. His is just a
Exact
couple more yards. They could have easily swarmed too if they wanted. Hell, I bet they did.
to That's the bigger issue. Why are the Dallas Cowboys fans not coming out and supporting a team that's actually winning games right now?
That's a
Because
surprise.
because those stands were totally packed with Houston Texans fans, and they were cheering and stuff and making it difficult for Tony Romo to hear in his own home stadium.
That's
That
scary. I mean, the Texans fans. I'm giving them credit. They even despite that terrible year last year, they're still coming out and supporting them.
exactly. They're going to Dallas, Texas, selling out the stadium, and not only that, they are causing havoc for the home team.
That's scary. My God. Wait till other big away games for the Texans if they do better, which I think they will. They might do
I
that
mean,
to other teams.
if it was shocking to see Texas Stadium look like that. It was very, very shocking to see.
Jerry Jones and Romo were really disappointed in their fans, but I mean, people. It's weird. I mean, we all expected the Cowboys to win, and yet, despite that, why didn't they show up? That's surprising. It's like, oh, this is the Texas Showdown. We need to go see it. And yet, the only ones that thought that were the Texans. Dallas is like, nah, fuck it. I don't think they're gonna win.
Now, I,
That's terrible.
I just don't get what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys fans because you have a good team. Go watch your good team. If you didn't like your how the team was going, then don't show up last year, or don't show up the year before that. Get rid of Garrett and all that. But no, you still kept showing up. Now, when they finally turn it around, you're not showing up. It doesn't make sense.
You know, the way I know that it'll change indefinitely is if Dallas beats Seattle, but you don't see it coming. I don't. I think it can. I think it can happen because, well, it's a football game. Anything can go.
Yeah, anything can happen, but
But that's just.
I mean, it'd be like like there's no comparison to what would happen if Seattle lost in Seattle against the Dallas Cowboys.
Then it's like, wow, you guys really are trying to be like America's team. But I digress. My final notes is that this was a game that should have won. That should have been won by the Texans, especially because they finally started to entrust Arian Foster with the ball more. Because that first half was really mostly passing. Neither side trusted their runner as much as they should have, and this would have been a much more high-scoring offensive game. But no, they didn't, and that's why the first half wasn't so productive. So shame on both teams. Second half they did, because they know that we gotta hurry up and get our shit together, and that's why I went to overtime. But
Right.
it was a shame for the Texans to lose despite starting to showing Foster running in the second half and getting all that on his own. Imagine if he did that from the beginning. Imagine.
Just imagine. I mean,
That would have felt like a Houston home game.
it really would have.
But and then for the Cowboys, for all that what you said, the fans being overtaken by Houston, and Romo being, well, he was doing Romo stuff, passing more than he should have, instead of not relying on Murray.
If he ran with DeMarco Murray, that game would have been a whole lot different, and
It would have been exactly as we envisioned it.
To be honest, if he ran it more with Murray, the Houston Texans wouldn't have been even as close as they were.
Yep, and same thing goes for Foster. If Foster ran more, hell, this would have been a much more high-scoring game. Maybe it would have went overtime all the same, but a lot of more points would have been on the board than just 20-17.
I personally think that it would have been quite a entertaining game if it was a lot more running and a lot less of Tony Romo deciding, hey, I should be passing about 40 times right now.
I think Dallas fans should be scared, as I am, because if he's starting to get back into the passing game, just wait till Seattle. He's going to be really put under the pressure there, and Sherman is going to have fun picking him off.
Sherman's, I call him garbage like he called Pierre Garcon.
That guy's very vocal. But shame on the Cowboys for barely coming out of that. And shame on the Texans because that should have been a win. And speaking of shame, let's move on. Shame on the Lions for that defense letting up. This was a wake-up call for Texans to run the football, and this was a wake-up call for Lions to not drop it. They need to pick up that slack and keep that defense consistent to the end.
To be fair, I'm gonna be fair right here. The defense wasn't the problem in this game. The offense was the problem, continues to be the problem, and they need to fix all their issues. It is unacceptable to consistently get penalized. It is unacceptable to consistently not play offense and be consistent on offense. It is not acceptable that when you get into the red zone that you can't convert in the red zone, and it's not acceptable that when you get into the red zone and you do screw up in red zone, that when you kick a field goal, you clank it off the goalpost or kick a. I swear to God, I watched that second kick. That kick looked like a wounded duck flying to the side. I mean, I've never seen a kick that
How many
bad
yards were these kicks? I did not see because they're not on the highlights.
He made it like a 20 or 35 yard field goal look like it was a 60-yard field goal because of how low and how wobbly these kicks were. Just imagine the worst kick you've ever seen. Like, just imagine, like a 10-year-old trying to kick a football for the first time. That's what those kicks look like.
I'm going to say one good thing. I was right. I called one thing right. Golden Tate got his first touchdown in Detroit, and that's the only thing I'm really happy about. The guy's owning up, but that's all the good things I'm going to say for that at the moment. Continue, Bill.
Another thing is that when we are playing on offense, you cannot get up 14-0 and think that 14 points is going to do enough to put away a decent football team.
I don't think they were looking at the other game, the Browns-Bengals.
They're not a great team. They're a mediocre team at best, and they allowed them to come back and beat them, and it's unacceptable. And the kicking game was god awful. We would have won that game had he been able to kick a field goal through the uprights.
Even one would have at least sent it into overtime. And that's better than an outright loss.
But if he kicks a field goal and gets it through, it's 17-0, and the whole complexion of the game changes. Because then they're down 3 scores, and then Buffalo will be feeling like, oh man, we gotta really put the pedal to the metal now because we're down 3 scores. They were running the football.
Mm-hmm.
When they were down 2 scores, they were only down 2 touchdowns. You make it 3 scores, they have to get down the field 3 times instead of 2 times. And it's just, I mean, literally.
Do you mind if I say something?
Go ahead.
Oh, and I said the game wrong. It was Browns at Titans, not Bengals. I'm thinking of the Patriots slaughter. But anyway, my problem was, well, it's like I've said consistently. They start well, but they don't stick with it. And you're right. I guess the offense does deserve blame because I never saw the offense really because it was all Bills in the highlights. That game.
The
What were you gonna say?
the offense just they just have this habit of wanting to stall out at the worst possible time. They get going really fast, and then they're like, oh, we got a 14-0 lead. Let's just cool down and not worry about anything.
Yeah, the Titans thought they had it at 28-3, but look at that. Look how that turned out.
I as a Detroit Lions fan, I want to see. I just swallowed wrong, but I want to see Matthew Stafford. I want the Buffalo Bills defense to get humiliated. I want them to be humiliated. Every time the Lions go out, they should be out to put up 56 points on their opponent. Not, oh, well, I got 14, better sit back and see if they'll come back, and then we'll try to light the switch. If they cannot get people that want to play, get rid of the people that don't want to play, and get people that do want to play.
There are people who will be glad to be on any team just to get some action. I don't blame them.
But another point of contention that I really need to get off.
Oh, I know what it is. Go.
Jim Schwartz is a giant douchebag and a loser, and seriously, revisionist history is that as the head coach of the Lions, I wish that Jim Harbaugh would have punched him in the face during that handshake, because Jim Schwartz always had that knack of being that douchebag, and him getting carried off the field in Detroit not only shows a sign of disrespect to the city that you coached in, but come back here with a better team. You didn't beat a good football team there, Jim Schwartz. You beat a team that packed it in halfway through the game. If the team came out and played like they could have played, they would have killed your stupid defense, and it would have been 42-0. But they came out and packed it in halfway through the game, and you're getting carried off the field for, oh, I scored 7, and we held the Lions offense to 14 points. Try it with a better team. Let's see you do that with Tom Brady and the Patriots this week.
I'm really
Jim
hoping.
Schwartz.
I'm really hoping the Patriots just rub it in.
I want Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski to. I seriously want Rob Gronkowski to go run onto the Buffalo Bills sideline and spike and do his monster spike, and the ball bounces and hits Jim Schwartz in the face.
Oh man, such passionate words from Bill.
I am fired up. Jim Schwartz is a joke of he was a joke of a head coach. He should have never been hired in Detroit. He was a joke of a defensive coordinator. He had a joke of a defense. And look at the Y9 technique that he brought in. It didn't work, so we got rid of it, and our defense is we turned into the number 1 defense. Jim Schwartz is a joke. His defense was a joke last year, and I'm glad that he's gone, and I can't wait. I cannot wait to see him again later on, and then we put a 52-0 stomping on one of his teams.
I hope so. I mean, even Golden Tate, who wasn't with the Lions, he found it outright disrespectful. I mean, the only time I see it's worthy of being carried off a field is if it's a fucking playoff game or you clenched history as like, hey, our team made the playoffs for the first time in so many years, or you win the Super Bowl.
He's literally getting carried off the field for beating a team that hasn't been to a Super Bowl or hasn't won an NFL title in 52 years. Wow, what an achievement! Seriously, get a goddamn life.
I'm wondering if have the Texans played the Texans former quarterback coach? Because I know he got a job somewhere. I think.
I beat the Lions. They haven't won anything in 50-something years. It'd be like, Mike Holmgren coming back to get carried off the field when he beats the Cleveland Browns. They haven't won a championship in 60 years, but I feel pride in beating this team.
Mm-hmm.
The players that carried him off the field are losers, and Jim Schwartz himself is a coward. He's a loser, and he can't face the fans of Detroit without a bunch of 6'4", 300-pound guys around him.
Bill, I won't lie. I thought my words were very bad for the Texans. I see. I got clearly outclassed. I'm sorry, Bill. I'm not trying to I'm not laughing at you. I don't blame you for being
okay.
mad. I'm disappointed.
It's okay. I mean, if Jim Schwartz wants to get carried off the field, that's fine. What has Buffalo won in the last 30 years in sports titles? 0.
The question is, can they even win in next week's game? I don't think so, but we'll get to that in the picks. I don't know.
I have a pick for that game.
I've got some picks for that game too, but I don't know if I have any real big closing notes for this game. Like I said, I'm just disappointed. Like, shame on the Texans for losing their game. That was winnable, and shame on the Lions because this was totally winnable. I was right about one thing, that trend where they ease up part of the game through. It happened. It's a good thing they lost. I hate to say it, Bill, but it was a good thing because this is a wake-up call for the Lions, because it's better this game than a division game that's next week. If you lost that one, you're already giving Green Bay a chance to pass you, right?
Right.
Because in this case, they need to win all of their other divisional games if they know they're going to lose to the Green Bay Packers. Because they might lose one to Chicago again, but I doubt it, because they've already played all of their divisional games that were away, I believe. So yeah, and they're not gonna lose to the Vikings.
And my final thought about Jim Schwartz is classless.
I can agree. Like I said, the only time you should be being carried off the field is if you won the Super Bowl, or you clinched a playoff spot, or got in the playoffs for the first time in many years. Because that happened to my coach in high school. Because it was my junior year in high school, my high school team made the playoffs for the first time, and oh God, who knows how many years? I forgot.
I just feel bad for the city of Buffalo for being represented by a classless individual that does not represent their community, because the city of Buffalo is an amazing city, and that douchebag doesn't deserve a job in that city, period.
I can agree to that. But so, Bill, let's say we move on. I'm sorry, I'm just chewing ice.
That was a ferocious assault, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just chewing ice. But
It's all
I did in the last video. I got no complaints. So I was trying not to make a habit of it. But let's move on to the future games, because I couldn't find any subject worth talking about that was football related. College football, I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it once we get to the championships games, and they're really good. But anyway, we're not done with the Lions yet. We're talking about their future game, Detroit at Minnesota. What are the keys to win, Bill? Get yourself started.
First key is to make sure that our kicker can kick a field goal.
Get him. I think they're going to practice him a lot. Whoever it is now.
Whoever's got the job, as long as it's someone that can kick the field goals. 8 missed field goals. You know what the team that had the most missed field goals last year had
Texans?
for a total last year? It was 9.
Wasn't
9 missed field goals all of last year for the number 1 team that missed field goals. I don't know who it was.
I'm pretty sure it was the Texans, because I forgot to say this, but that Lions game was like the Colts at Texans, which is this week, ironically. That was Sunday Night Football, and I was happy with that, but then, of course, the kicker could not get a kick in. He got 3 field goal kicks, couldn't get any of them either. But he stayed. and he hasn't missed one since. And the week before he got a 55-yarder. That's his best ever. That guy has improved. I used to shit on Bullock because I was just hoping get out of here, get a better kicker like you. But I'm surprised the Texans trained him and made him a better kicker. Is he Dan Bailey tier? No. Or Hauschka tier? No. But he's a lot better than where he is. He's at least more than passable. And I will take that any day of one who can at least get a slightly above 40-yarder field goal, because that's at least a reasonable shot for somebody to make most of the time, over someone who can't even get a 30.
Right.
So, yeah, it reminded me a lot of that game. I forgot to say that, but
that was the first key of that game, in my opinion. Second key of the game is to get Calvin Johnson rested and build a game plan that does not involve Calvin Johnson. Both Reggie Bush and Joique Bell are hurt right now. So
who's the runner now?
George Wynn and Theo Riddick.
They're gonna have to work them. They're gonna have to start making names for themselves now.
Build a game plan around these players. The best players to build your game plan around: Golden Tate, Eric Ebron, Brandon Pettigrew. Build your game plan around that. Don't keep wanting to use, Calvin as a decoy.
Because everybody already knows about Megatron. They know not to underestimate him.
Thirdly, don't underestimate the Vikings offense, even though they're terrible. Don't underestimate it, because they can still hit that big play. They have two good players on their offense, Cordero Patterson and Jerick McKinnon, with Matt Asiata a close third. Don't underestimate them, but don't... make sure you're playing good and sound defense against them.
And my biggest concern is don't ease up part of the way through. This is a game that you can't afford to lose. Because, like I said, if you know you're going to lose to the Packers, do all you can to beat the Bears twice, beat the Vikings twice. You've got one win on the Packers, that means you have a chance.
Fourthly, Matt Stafford cannot throw an interception in this game. Cannot. It's not feasible. It cannot happen. No turnovers. 0. That is a recipe for success. 0 turnovers. And cut down on the penalties.
And the Texans were one of the teams who had the most. I think the Seahawks, the Super Bowl champions, had the most last year, but they had enough. They had enough big plays to balance it out. But now that Megatron's he probably won't play this next game. Unlike them, you can't afford to make those kinds of mistakes, and especially because the Seahawks had defensive players who could make offensive plays.
And really, I see the game being pretty offensive, even without Calvin Johnson there. So I'm not worried about my offense, but I'm mildly alarmed by them,
And then here's the thing: now that they know Calvin is most definitely not going to play, I'm pretty sure he's not going to play.
Correct.
Are they going to double cover Golden Tate? Because you can't take him lightly. He's a dynamic player. Despite his height, he is really good at what he does.
You know what's the scary part, though, is that they have the 6'5" Eric Ebron that can make circus catches in the middle of the field. So he could be a huge part of this game.
Well, I haven't finished yet. I think one of those two is gonna be double covered, and who is it going to be? Is it Golden Tate, or is it Ebron? Tate? Is it because he's got that ring?
Golden Tate's just a good wide receiver. He's good, and if you leave him single covered, he's just on run routes that are just on put him right at the sticks, and he'll just He'll get 8 yards and kill you that way. 8 yards, 8 yards, 10 yards, 12 yards. He'll kill you that way.
Well, it's good for us, but I don't know. It just depends on who they double cover. Because part of me thinks, would they go for Ebron? I mean, are they going to do the don't under? Are they going to underestimate the rookie?
I mean, I'm gonna put it out there. I think they're going to go man-to-man coverage all the way across, and I think they're gonna try to stop the run and make the Lions one-dimensional.
That better not happen. They need to find ways to get. I mean, hell, Stafford can run a little, right?
Stafford can run a little bit, a little bit.
I mean, he might have to run for some first downs too. If they're expecting a runner, are they going to expect the quarterback to run?
No, but the good. I mean, on the other side, Teddy Bridgewater really doesn't really scare me because he's a rookie, and you never know how rookies are going to perform. The opposing defense is not really good, and the opposing offense, like I said, there's a few people you need to keep your eyes out. But if you contain them, take away what they do best, and you leave them with what they can't do really well, you're in good shape.
Yep. Well, I think that's all I can say about Detroit. Just don't ease up for a second. See it through to the end. And
I want that to happen as badly as
hell,
possible.
I want Ndamukong to get some sacks on Bridgewater. Or how that whole team can get a sack or two if they want. Just force them to 3-and-outs. Just show that you are the number one defense. Don't let them score that much. But I digress. Let's move on to the Thursday night game, which is a couple of days from now at the time of recording. Indianapolis at Houston. This is a key game for both teams because of the Houston Texans losing to the Cowboys and Indy winning against the Ravens.
Right.
Whoever wins this will get to be number one in the division. So this is a game that neither side are going to take lightly. Not that they were already, because these two are rivals. They're big rivals. And it's always been, usually, except for last year, Houston and Indy going for it. For the divisional title. So, with that said, what is Houston's key to beating Indy, Bill?
What is Houston's key to beating Indy? They have got to get to Andrew Luck. They have got to get to him, and they have got to knock him down. And they must make him uncomfortable in the pocket. But yet, the other key is don't let him run. Where he's dangerous is when he's starting to run and picking up first downs with his legs. Because if you cover everyone and you're getting a pass rush, he's just going to step up in the pocket and take off.
Yep.
You need to rush him from all sides. Surround him, drop him. That's the key to beating Andrew Luck. You can't let him escape, because if he escapes, then you got problems. The other thing is that the Texans really need to exploit the Colts defense. Colts pass defense is pretty bad, so Andre Johnson, DeAndre, Ryan Fitzpatrick needs to make really good decisions.
I need Johnson to get his first touchdown. He needs a touchdown finally. I think this is the game where he should get it.
It could very possibly be the game, because this game, the Texans have a good pass offense, and the Colts are not really well suited to play against pass, or really the run either.
Here's the hard part. There's a hard part. Remember, Indy, Andrew Luck, even though everybody talks about Manning, Luck is really up on his neck for this year's stats. And he has the best passing game because he's got some great weapons. Reggie Wayne, T.Y. Hilton. It's going to be hard covering those guys.
Right.
Because the key is to mess with what he's good at, the passing. If Jonathan Joseph can get a pick, which I'm hoping for, it's going to it's going to be a fun time for in Houston for the Texans. They need to basically stop Andrew Luck at what he's best at, those passes. Because once you let him start throwing some short passes, they're going to get better and better. Soon enough, he's going to make 80-yard touchdowns.
Correct.
So I'm not sure. And then it's a matter of will J.J. Watt be able to get through? I think he will, because I don't think that this offensive line is as built and powerful as the Cowboys. Because I mean, the Cowboys game, there are single people blocking Watt. That is not an ordinary feat for a single man to do. You cannot
And really, the Cowboys weren't even doing that good of a job against Watt. Really.
Yeah, I mean, when he did get through, it didn't matter. That's the scary thing. In Romo is Romo. He knows how to dodge a sack.
Right.
He dodged Watt, and part of me wasn't surprised because the dude can do wonders. Remember that? I think it was the Saints. Two Saints tried to get him from both sides. He stepped back and got away and got a pass in. So I don't.
Yep.
I like to think Romo's surprisingly very dodgy when it comes to being sacked. Luck, he is too, but I don't think he's the most evasive quarterback you'll ever find.
Right.
But that being said, it's like you said, you shouldn't let him have that chance to run. Don't make that space happen, and Watt's gonna have to really work it here, because Jadeveon Clowney isn't coming back until at least the what's after the I think it's the Eagles game. No, it's not the Eagles game. He won't come back until at least the Titans game, October 26th, which I think that's reasonable for everybody to agree on, because he should come back either on the Steelers game. He's hoping for the Steelers game because that's after this game, they've got a long week. It's almost like a bye.
Right.
Because you've got until Monday night. You got Monday Night Football at Pittsburgh, so you got a lot of time for him to rest up and get well. So there's a chance he could come for that one, and if he doesn't, I'm putting my money on it. He's going to come for the Titans game. So
I can see that happen.
So it's a matter of just Watt's already done a lot to hold down the fort until he returns. But I don't think he's going to be enough. We're going to probably need the help of Brian Cushing, because Cushing got a sack on Romo, I believe. I think that was the only sack in the game against him. And DJ Swearinger. I hope he gets a pick too, like Jonathan Joseph, but I just don't know. I'm saying the same thing, but this is how important it is. You have to stop Luck at getting those successful passes. You got to pick him off. It's like how you beat Drew Brees. You just keep picking him off, and he's not going to do well. He's going to be very ineffective.
Luck is a hybrid of Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson.
That's scary to go up against.
He's a hybrid. He's an intelligent quarterback, and he can run. And when you got an intelligent running quarterback, literally, if he puts it all together, he could be the great. He could be one of the greats that ever play.
I think he is going to.
I think you're really seeing him take his leap this year, and it's gonna be scary to see where he goes from here.
Exactly. So the Texans are gonna, and the Texans have to deal with him twice. So it's like you really got to stop him here. You want to. I don't think they're gonna get in the playoffs, but just for them to have a chance, they need to win this game. It's like with the Lions. If you know you're gonna lose over at their place, you need to beat them here, at home.
Yeah.
Because even Bill O'Brien said he appreciated how at the Cowboys game more Texans fans in them, which we talked about, and yeah, it's true. So you have to stop. You have to come early and fill up those seats, and just really put the pressure on Luck. Hell, it could be like they could totally do a Seattle thing where they are so loud, Luck can't get anything, false starts, or delay of game, or have to call a timeout.
Right.
So the fans, I think O'Brien's onto something when he says we need the fans here. I think he's trying to turn this into a Seattle-style game or team. Maybe I might be overthinking it because it was just one game, but I'm seeing where like I said, the Texans fans are surprisingly really loyal, even after that horrendous year which we don't speak of, or I don't speak of. They still show up. They still keep filling out and selling out the house, and that shows you just what the fans could be. I mean, Seattle has their 12th man. Well, these guys can be the 12th man too. Any team really could have that. Really, could be that team you don't want to play at home, right?
Right.
So it's like
Right.
the Texans. If Brian keeps saying, "Hey, you guys should come here," so we can just put the pressure on whoever's here, do it. This might be a sign of a transition, but I mean it depends on how it turns out on Thursday's game. But I think that's all I'm gonna say. Just stop Luck, put him under pressure, keep even just hitting him, which Watt I believe is gonna keep getting those quarterback hits, and you're on to something. So let's move on to the last game, but I don't think this one has as much saying either. At least Dallas at Seattle. All I can say for Dallas, keep calm and run the football. I might have just referenced a meme there, and I hate myself for it. But I mean it. Just run the football. Throwing those passes is very dangerous, especially with that good passing defense. I might be praising Richard Sherman for too much, but he's still considered a good defensive player for a reason.
The the only hope the Cowboys have of winning this game is that Tony Romo passes less than 20 times and DeMarco Murray runs the football like 35 times.
That offensive
And
line is going to really be put to the test here.
this is a very good offensive line against a very
An equally good.
very-
I think it's equally good defensive.
the Seahawks, if they put their mind to something, they are pretty much scary. I mean, they're not as good of a defense as last year's Seahawks defense, but
Yeah.
they're still a damn good defense, and you've got to respect it, and you've got to play it like you respect it. You run that football, you run it down their throats, and you keep running it until they turn blue. And that's their team colors a little bit, but you just keep running and running and running. And if you're going to pass 45 times on the Seahawks, you're going to lose. That's period.
It's going to be feeling like a shutout. You can't. I mean,
But
it's bad. It's ill-advised to throw.
I mean, the other place where the Cowboys can really make up, special teams. Special teams. If they get a bunch of short fields against the Seahawks, that can turn the complexion of the game. So, special teams is an area that the Cowboys should really focus on
Because
against the Seahawks team, because then you put the Seahawks defense in a bunch of pressure pack situations. It's a lot different defense then.
yep, I remember a couple of years ago they had one of the best defense special teams because of how much they could run it in for a touchdown. I think Dwayne Harris got most of his touchdowns back in that day because he kept running it all the way in.
Exactly.
I remember like a Sunday Night
So-
Football a couple of years ago, he did take one back from the Redskins.
Exactly.
So they need to really get him to work it too if what you're saying is true.
But that's about. I mean, that's the only way I can see the Cowboys beating the Seahawks is them running the football like almost religiously.
Yeah, and that's gonna be hard because Romo is ready. To me, Romo's already breaking from that trend, but I don't know.
I just don't get why they're breaking from the trend. If it isn't broke, don't fix it.
I mean, yeah, of course, I usually see at the beginning the run game's not always the best for teams, but that's why you just got to keep going. Because Arian Foster, he had that same issue at the beginning in this past game, but they still kept giving it to him, and look at what he did. Then he started to become unstoppable. You got to get the legs working and then pumped up to keep going, and then soon enough, same with DeMarco Murray, he'll be unstoppable.
And not only that, DeMarco can catch the football out of the backfield, so That be another nice wrinkle to add into the game plan. Just make get DeMarco Murray out in space and throw him the football.
Yeah, because there are times where it looks like he's not going to make it, and then he does some juke moves, and there you go, first down.
Exactly.
So,
That's another recipe for success. As long as DeMarco's got the ball in his hands, the Cowboys will be in good hands. If Tony Romo's got the ball in his hands, I fear for their winning. And it's nothing against Tony Romo. It's just the Seahawks defense is just that good.
and I mean, I've said it. I might have said it before, but I mean, if you can beat the Seahawks, you're really gonna show your fans, yeah, we're not the same from last year.
Especially in Seattle.
Yes, especially because this is Seattle. You got to beat the 12th man because he is always there, whether you like it or not. So
Exactly.
you can beat them, you can beat any football team.
You saw what the 12th man did to Tom Brady and the Patriots in Kansas City.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. If you can overcome that, you can overcome anything. But I think that's all I'm going to say. Just run the football. Just try not to let that 12th man breathe on your neck too much, because it's going to lead to picks. And that's what they're there for, to encourage picks and fumbles. Or bad snaps.
And a lot of silent snap counts will go a long way.
But that being said, you ready for the picks,
man.
Bill?
Picks time!
Let's start off. I'll start this one off with Thursday night. Indy at Houston. Let's hear your thoughts, Bill.
Man. I can see both teams playing and having a shootout, but in the end, I think Andrew Luck is just having a season for the ages and he's gonna go off, and I think the Colts will win this game.
Oh, man. You know, part of me would agree with you, but I'm just going to have to be biased here. If Houston runs that football, they let Foster and Blue run all over that overrated defense.
It's not overrated, it's just terrible.
No, because people are praising, like, hey, look, the defense got better. They're ranked 12th now. I think that's wrong. They're not that great. Just because they stopped a great team in the Baltimore Ravens does not mean they're the best all of a sudden. No. They're not the Broncos defense, which I'm starting to believe what you said, that defense got better. They're nowhere near stuff like them or the Seahawks. I think it's overrated, and I think the Texans might prove that if they get Foster to run the ball and Andre Johnson getting a touchdown or two. I'm going Texans, assuming he does run that football, but let's go, Bill. Start with Sunday games.
Oh, man. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns.
The Browns nearly upset the Steelers at home. I think it's going to be something like that, but no, the Browns are going to wipe the floor with them, maybe, or it's going to be another close one. I'm going Browns all the way.
Pittsburgh Steelers defense is not what it used to be.
It's trying.
And the Cleveland Browns have a comeback magician in Brian Hoyer at quarterback. The Browns will win against the Steelers in a very hard-fought game.
Oh, this is AFC. This is a AFC. What division is this? AFC East, West?
What?
The
next game?
No, the Steelers Browns.
North.
Okay, this is pure AFC North. It's always a bloodbath, whoever goes. You know that already, Bill. You're the one that said it.
Exactly. Every game's a bloodbath. Speaking of what I hope to be a bloodbath, the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills.
Oh man. This is a battle just like the Colts and Texans game. For whoever wins this leads the division. And I'm going with the Patriots. If they want to prove that they're still in this, they need to prove it here, because the Bills, even though their last win was bullshit, they're still starting to form into a good team. And the Patriots know they can't let that happen. They need to break them down into pieces and not let them reform. Patriots are going to win this. And it may or may not feel like homecoming for the Patriots like it did last week with the Bengals.
I I want the Patriots to annihilate the Buffalo Bills. I want no more Rex Ryan. I don't care about Rex Ryan. I have a new public enemy number one. It's Jim Schwartz, and I want the Patriots to score 63 on them. I just want them to lose as badly as possible. And then Jim Schwartz can be carried off the field as a loser.
Yep. Oh, and
Next.
speaking of Rex Ryan, I'm pretty sure he already cried after being the first team to be shut out by the Chargers.
Oh, man.
Next game.
I want Jim Schwartz to cry now. But Carolina Panthers at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Cat fight. We got another cat fight here. Who's going to be king of the jungle now? I am confident the Bengals are going to wreck the Panthers. They've rebounded, yes, and I think the Panthers are going to put up a good fight at home. They might be the closest thing that gives the Bengals a good fight at home, but in the end, the Bengals are going to take their way back and take the title of King of the Cats in the Football League. I'm going with the Bengals.
I'm going Bengals because the Panthers defense still hasn't stopped anyone ever since week 2. And it's now week 6, and it just doesn't look like it's getting better. And the Bengals were embarrassed, and they're going to come out angry, and they're going to embarrass the Panthers.
It's like the Patriots passed the situation onto the Bengals.
Exactly. I think the Bengals are going to come out, and they're going to dominate that game.
Uh-huh.
Next up, speaking of getting dominated, the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans.
I don't think anyone really is going to want to watch this game. I'm going to say the Jaguars. I think this is Blake Bortles' best game so far.
I don't even know who's playing at quarterback for the Tennessee Titans.
I don't know either.
I have no idea. And, I mean, there is Blake Bortles, but the Jaguars' defense can't stop anybody.
The Titans' defense can't stop anybody either.
This is one of these times where I'm going to pull out a coin, a flip, heads for Titans, tails for Jaguars, and it is... Oh, I dropped the coin, so it landed heads. So, it is heads.
Jacksonville it is. Okay.
Jacksonville.
Next, Packers at the Dolphins. What do you got, Bill?
Correct. I am going to go Miami Dolphins.
Ooh.
For the simple fact that I think the Dolphins will run the football, and I think Tannehill will play good against the Packers defense, and I think the Packers offense is starting to come around, but I don't know if Eddie Lacy's gonna still be playing really good, so I'm picking the Dolphins.
I actually think this is going to be a game that goes into overtime, but the Dolphins are going to clutch it with a touchdown at the end, so I'm going to go with the Dolphins.
And here we go, the Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh man, the Lions need to do exactly what I said before. You already know my thing with this. I'm going with the Lions strictly because the Vikings have no offense. And, well, the Lions really need to finish and not quit halfway through. So I'm going with the Lions.
If the Lions lose to the Vikings, it'll be an embarrassment. So I'm picking the Lions, and hopefully they don't lose to the Vikings because, seriously, you can't lose to a bunch of second stringers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Teddy Bridgewater is their first round pick, but he was a second stringer earlier this season. But anyway, the Denver Broncos at the New York Jets.
Oh God, this is pure slaughter. Why did you make this happen? Another shutout at home. Denver going to shit on them. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Denver let the main defense rest and let the secondaries get some training in. Maybe the same for the offense in the second half. It's going to feel like a preseason game, but the Broncos are still going to shut out the Jets. 56-0.
Oh, man. All right, I'm predicting the Broncos a win, and I am also going to predict here on this thing that Peyton Manning will throw 6 touchdown passes and break Brett Favre's record.
Oh man, nice. Why didn't I
Oh
think of
man.
that? But I'm thinking of the next game.
Next up, the Baltimore Ravens at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh my god. The Bucks, I will concede, the Bucks are really struggling, and they're struggling successfully. I mean, you nearly upset the Saints in their place. I would have,
Who are also struggling.
yeah, that was, even though they won, that was just embarrassing to nearly lose to the Bucks at your place. Get out of here! I think the Bucks are going to give the Ravens a tough time. My upset of the week, the
Oh,
Buccaneers, with a game-clinching touchdown, 24-21.
I think the Buccaneers will give them a fight now that Josh McCown's not the starting quarterback of the Buccaneers. That's what happens when you get an 0-16 Lions quarterback as your starting quarterback. So obviously the Ravens I'm picking, but I think the Buccaneers will be close.
Yeah, understandable.
Meanwhile, speaking of futility, the San Diego Chargers at the Oakland Raiders.
The Raiders need to make better picks. Chargers have this, but it won't be it's not going to be a complete slaughter like last week's game. The Raiders are going to score 7 points.
So you're picking Chargers, eh?
Yep. 31-7.
Alright. Okay, the Raiders just have fired their head coach. Their entire that entire team's a mess, like normal. Chargers win easily.
Nothing out of the ordinary here.
Oh, here we go. Chicago Bears at Atlanta Falcons.
The Falcons are at home. They're going to win. This is going to be 31-17. Falcons. Bears aren't going to find their answer this week.
Both teams' defenses. I mean, literally, someone that could have fallen asleep and sleepwalk could get through their defenses right now. So, it's really a toss-up, and I think that Matt Ryan is too good at home. So Falcons.
Yep.
But I mean, I would not be surprised to see that game 41-38.
Really? I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I think that the Falcons are just going to completely outclass the Bears.
Alright, here we go. The Dallas Cowboys at the Seattle Seahawks.
I want to hear your thoughts first, Bill.
I think the Seahawks are going to shut down Tony Romo. I think Tony Romo's going to throw the football like an idiot. And they're just going to go into old habits because they're 4-1, and the Seahawks are going to prey upon it, and they're going to win.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that probably is going to happen. But here's the thing. I'm going to be weird here. My true answer is the Seahawks are going to win. But if the Cowboys run the football and do what we've been saying earlier, it's their win. Maybe. So let's go to the next game.
The Washington football team against the Arizona Cardinals.
Here, I've got 3 upsets this week, and this is the second one.
Oh my God!
This is the second one. Washington, because the Cardinals don't have a good quarterback, I think they really need Carson Palmer. I think that Garcon's going to have a field day today. Kirk Cousins is going to look like how he did in that game against the Eagles. I think it'll be 38-27.
And I'm predicting that the Arizona Cardinals will do what the Seahawks did to the Washington football team this last week, and they're gonna shut down Garcon and make only one of their wide receivers beat them. So I think the Cardinals will win.
Okay, that's good.
The Sunday night game, the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles.
This one could be a shootout. I think that they don't really have much of defenses on either side, though the Giants is slightly better. Eagles like to play at home. There's going to be the special teams at it again. blocked punt taken in for a touchdown one more time. I don't think it'll happen anymore after this. Because that special teams for the Eagles is something fierce. I'm going to go with Eagles. It's going to be a good match, though.
I can see this game going crazy. But I also predict the Eagles defeat the Giants because the Giants are really inconsistent. And the Eagles haven't played really good on offense recently, and I think they're going to get back on track in this game.
Alright, let's go with the Monday night
All right.
game.
Monday night game, San Fran 49ers against the St. Louis Rams.
Here's my final upset of the week. The Rams Austin Davis did well, and I think he's going to go at it again. And the Rams defense is going to actually shut down Colin Kaepernick, and he's going to get sacked 3 times. Rams are going to take this. They're feeling good despite losing to the Eagles. They know they put up a valiant fight, and I think they're going to put up a good fight here too.
And I am going to go against that. I'm going to say that Colin Kaepernick's going to run on that defense, and they're going to do just enough to win. And it's going to be a very close game. I feel it could be a point difference, like a 17-16 or a 2019 type game, but 49ers win.
I'm not surprised by that either. I think it will be close, but I think the Rams are going to try to make something come together here.
But that Austin Davis is a legit quarterback.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. He might have this chance. If he wins this game, he's clinching that spot as a starting quarterback for a while.
To be honest, Sam Bradford wasn't even really good, so...
Alright, well then that's all of our games. Do you want to do the next week in case we don't get it on time? Week 7?
Let's just pick that game, sure.
Yeah, okay. Let me see week 7.
It is the New York Jets and the New England Patriots.
Well, did we really need to voice our opinion?
This is where Rex Ryan will really cry. He'll probably sometime next week, Rex Ryan will guarantee a victory, and then they'll lose.
I think he's going to get fired after this, if it turns out as bad as I'm expecting. So, with that said, I think the Patriots are going to shit on the Jets, especially at home.
With me, yeah.
This is going to feel like Sunday Night Football last week, but there's not going to be 17 points. You'll be lucky if there's even 3.
Right.
So another shootout, another shutout. I'm going with the Patriots.
I don't see how the New York Jets offense is going to score any points in the next few weeks, to be honest.
I think it's going to go under radical reconstruction someday.
The whole offense is not any good.
They need better weapons, but... So you're going with the Patriots?
Indeed.
Alright, now we got that one just in case. And I'm liking next week's setup, kind of. But we'll talk about that in the next week. So, I have nothing else to say except for what has already been said. I've already let out my anger, and I feel better. I feel better after talking about this. How about you, Bill?
Oh, I'll feel better when Jim Schwartz loses every game.
That's the Bill I know. So, I guess we'll see you guys in the next video. See you guys in week 7. Say goodbye, Bill.
Peace out, everybody.
See you guys later.